the Manchester United forward Rasmus Højlund. Remember, we were telling you that AC Milan wanted to do a loan with an option. Rasmus Højlund and Manchester United's preference is a permanent deal, or at least have a permanent element attached to that deal. So that one looks like it was cooling off. But Napoli, we understand, were trying to do a similar deal. But Sky in Italy are now reporting that they are open, on Napoli, to including an obligation to buy in any kind of loan deal for Rasmus Højlund. That's after AC Milan failed to convince Højlund to join them. Now, Napoli had been proposing a similar deal to Milan's one. Now they've opened up the possibility to including a mandatory buy option. Sky in Italy are reporting that Højlund is now head coach Antonio Conte's top priority after that injury to Romelu Lukaku, and Napoli are now ready to make a significant investment in the striker. This one is definitely one to watch in the last 10 days of this transfer window, because we do know Manchester United would be open to a sale. Let's move on now.
Do you think United may have learnt lessons from previous transfer windows, that previously you could argue that someone like Carlos Baleba might have been a first choice, and once that didn't happen, they thought, we're going to have to get someone, and they spent huge amounts of money trying to get another midfielder to fill that role, not necessarily their first choice. Would it be advisable for United just to take a step back, and if there's still a possibility in future transfer windows, maybe not January but next summer, to maybe pursue Carlos Baleba again, is it worth the wait, and have they got enough for this season to be able to wait for that?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think it's a great debate that they would have had internally. To Baleba is 120 million euros. Is that too much money? Maybe, but then he's one, outstanding. Two, he will be your midfielder for the next 10 years. When you have Casemiro at his age, Bruno at his age, Mainu, I mean, Amorim is not a fan, it's just as simple as that. And Ugarte, who has big limitations in his own game. I don't know. I guess the answer, which I know is a bit a simplistic answer, but let's see who they sign. If they sign somebody that is not Baleba, and then we will see if they were right or not to pass on Baleba and sign somebody else. If they don't sign anybody, I think they're short. I think they're too short. At least they don't play in Europe this season, which is an absolute blessing for them. But even for the Premier League, I'm not sure you can finish in the top 5, for example, with Casemiro, Ugarte, Mainu and Bruno as your 4 options in those 2 deeper midfielders. I think that's not enough. That's not good enough.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they do go back into the market. As far as we're aware at this stage, with only a few days to go, it doesn't look likely, but of course that can change. Look, midfield was an area. We've got to talk about the goalkeeper, because Andre Onana, he wasn't dropped according to Ruben Amorim. It just said, look, he hasn't trained that long, he hasn't had much game time. So Altay Bayindir came in, was a huge fault for the goal that can't be escaped. Gary Neville has suggested they have to go out and sign a new goalkeeper. Do you agree? And there's a certain Gianluigi Donnarumma who's available. Is he the answer?
I agree that they need another goalkeeper. Like, they went in for Donnarumma 2.5 months ago, 3 months ago. They got in touch with Enzo Raiola, his agent. You don't contact Donnarumma's agent if you don't want a goalkeeper. Otherwise, this is just stupid. Why would you do this? So the fact that they got in touch with Donnarumma and maybe other goalkeepers, or certainly their entourage, shows you that they were clearly in for a goalkeeper, or certainly wanted to find out a bit more about some goalkeeper situation to see what they do. I don't think Amorim trusts Onana at all. I think Bayindir is an okay goalkeeper, but just about good enough to be a number 2 at a club like United. Just about. But unless you sell Onana, you can't bring in a goalkeeper now. And who's going to sign Andre Onana right now with 10 days to go in the transfer window? I'm not sure. So I thought Donnarumma would be great for them. I think they can afford him. But the problem is, unless Onana goes, they can't. I don't think it would be wise for them to sign another goalkeeper. And that's where the difficulty is for them. On top of that midfielder that they are still chasing, that they want to sign, or maybe not, because they might want to wait for Baleba another 6 months or another year. It's a little bit that uncertainty around what they do next, I think, is right up there. But for me, and Sunday showed it again, And what we saw from Onana last season, they need a better goalkeeper already for sure.
I think also when you look before this window opened, a lot of the pundits and a lot of the experts says this is not a one window fix. This is a 3 or 4 transfer window fix. So maybe if they accept that, I know Manchester United fans will get excited because they've revamped their front 3, but then they got to be patient as well. And I think United fans might accept, because of the mistakes they've made in the past, that if there is that chance that Belieber can come, then it's going to be very difficult to bring in a midfielder now, because you might be spending the budget that would have helped you get Belieber next time. Just picking up on what you said about Donnarumma though, Julien, where do you see him